Welcome back. This is Chris and my brother in Christ, Stephen.
Hello.
The date today is October 14th, year of our Savior, 2017. The title of this video is Star of David / Moloch. The Star of David / Moloch, M-O-L-O-C-H. And the reason why we say this, we're still continuing the study of Judaism, Judeo-Christianity, the Kabbalah, the Zohar, the Babylonian Talmud, the tradition of the elders, the Pharisees, the leaven of the Pharisees is all connected, Lord. And so we just want to challenge believers and non-believers alike to find the Star of David in the Bible. You will not find the Star of David in the Bible. You'll find the Star of Moloch. And it's mentioned in the Old Testament. It says the Star of Moloch, Chiun, C-H-I-U-N. And then the reference in the New Testament, I believe it's in Acts 7:43, which is the Star of Moloch, Remphan. So we see Moloch equals Chiun equals Remphan equals Moloch. Remember, the Bible has a built-in dictionary. I believe it's in Amos something.
743.
Amos 7:43?
743. Acts 7:43. Amos 5:26.
Amos 5:26. So, as we're talking about this concept where people say Judeo-Christianity, understand, and folks, all this stuff is about, it's about investigative journalism. I mean, it's so pathetic today that you'll go into a bookstore and you'll find all this stuff about Islam, but you won't find anything about Judaism. So we see here, it's kind of interesting about, I'm going to read this introduction here. In Judaism's Strange Gods, Christian scholar Michael Hoffman documents his provocative thesis that Judaism is not the religion of the Old Testament, but the newly formalized belief system of the Pharisees, which arose in Babylon with the commitment of the formerly oral tradition of the elders to writing in the wake of the crucifixion of Israel's Messiah and the destruction of the temple. Basing his findings on authoritative Judaic sources, Hoffman demonstrates that Judaism is a man-made religion of tradition and superstition, which represents the institutionalized nullification of biblical law and doctrine. Liberating the reader from the accumulated shackles of decades of misinformation, this book shows that Judaism's God is not the God of Israel, but the strange gods of the Talmud and the Kabbalah and the racial self-worship they inculcate. Christian bookstores are packed with tomes purporting to unmask the religion of Islam, but not one slim volume will be found delving into the depravities of Orthodox Judaism. Judaism's Strange Gods corrects this imbalance with its fidelity to biblical truth and the historic witness of the church. Can they see this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm not deriving information from it, but this is more corroborative evidence. Now, folks, when we're talking about Judaism, Judaism is the religion of the Pharisees. Jesus Christ can clearly condemn those who claim to be Jews but are the synagogue of Satan. So when you're saying Judeo-Christianity, you're saying synagogue of Satan Christianity. God says that those who claim to be Jews are from the tribe of Judah but are the synagogue of Satan. So understand that the installation of Herod the Great, an Idumean or an Edomite, as a king in 37 BC made Israel a Roman client state and marked the end of the Hasmonean dynasty. Now, what the Hasmonean dynasty is, Herod, who is an Edomite, he was not an Israelite, but he's an Edomite. He murdered the last truly pure Israelite high priest, ladies and gentlemen, and so that ended the Hasmonean dynasty, and he set up what was called the Herodian dynasty, which is an Edomite dynasty. In 6 AD, Rome joined proper Judea, which is Judea, proper Samaria and Idumea, biblical Edom, into the Roman province of Judea, which is spelled Judaea. There's a difference. And this is a geographical location now where you have Edomites. Folks, if you look at the biblical map of early Israel, there is a distinction between in Judah, that Edom was below, geographically south of the tribe of Judah. Remember that Israel, you have Abraham begat Isaac, begat Israel, or Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and Israel had how many sons? Yes, they were Simeon, Benjamin, Joseph, Naphtali, Asher, Dan, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Reuben, Gad, and Levi. And then they were divided after Solomon's son Rehoboam. After Solomon, Rehoboam, who was divided into 10 northern kingdoms and the southern kingdom. And then the Assyrian captivity came in because the northern kingdom of Israel, not one king did right in God's eyes. So he brought in all of the Assyrian, took in, captured the northern kingdom, 10 tribes. And then they also came into the southern kingdom and hauled out a boatload of people, but they could not besiege Jerusalem. So all 12 tribes were taken into captivity, in the Assyrian captivity, and dispersed. So if you're here to trace racial Israel, you have Omri, who became known as the Qumri. And then you have the Behistun Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, this is history. If you're trying to identify race because you promote a race-grace gospel, you're not promoting Jesus Christ. You're saying Judeo-Christian. You're saying a race-grace gospel. But Jesus Christ, it doesn't take much investigation to say that Jesus condemned the Pharisees. Now, the top 120 Jews of the world, the late, great Stephen S. Wise, he knows more than 99% of Christians out there. What did he say? I'm paraphrasing, but he said the Phariseeism marked the end of Hebrewism, the God of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and marked the beginning of Phariseeism or Judaism, because Phariseeism became rabbinism, and rabbinism became modern rabbinism became the Talmud. And we learn all about what's in the Talmud, right? You have pederasty, pedophilia, lying, murder, all sorts of stuff we talked about. Now we're going to be focusing more specifically on the Kabbalah. As we're talking about, the Kabbalah was referencing about Jewish theosophy, right? That's what we're talking about, Jewish theosophy and mysticism and thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy is magic, ladies and gentlemen. And when we're dealing with the Kabbalah, as Steve was reading before, it's relating to Hollywood. And also the Kabbalah is where science is coming full circle and saying that their science is connected to the Kabbalah. All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about. The tradition of the elders. We see that H.P. Blavatsky, where you have the Theosophical Society, which is their symbol is the Ouroboros with the hexagram, or if you want to call it the Magen David, the Magen David, M-A-G-E-N-D-A-V-I-D, Magen David, which is another name for the Star of Moloch, or a hexagram found in Judaism, ladies and gentlemen. It's also found in the hexagrams, also found in Freemasonry, Freemasonry is nothing more than Jewish Kabbalism. Now, this Kabbalism is also interlinked with Roman Catholicism, which goes back to the ancient religions found in Buddha. All right, so you have I'm going all over the place, but remember when you're talking about the Kabbalah, it's linked to, theosophy is linked to the Buddhist wheel, right? The Buddhist wheel, which you have the cross, and then you have the X in there. That Buddhist wheel is where you find in St. Peter's Basilica that 8-pointed wheel. And in the center of that, you have the obelisk found in the Vatican. Stephen, do you want to add something?
Yeah, it says the Kabbalah is an ancient wisdom that reveals how the universe and life work. On a literal level, the word Kabbalah means to receive. It's the study of how to receive fulfillment in our lives. When we speak of fulfillment, we don't just mean temporarily happy or experiencing fleeting senses of well-being. We mean connecting to the energy and maintaining our connection to true long-lasting fulfillment. Kabbalah is an ancient paradigm for living. It teaches that all the branches of our lives, health, relationships, careers, emanate from the same trunk and the same root. It's the technology of how the universe works at its core, at the core level. It's a way of looking at the world that can connect you to the kind of permanent fulfillment you seek. That's their
and that energy was very interesting because you hear a lot about energy, tapping into the energy. Everything you have is within you, and you want to bring that out. Now, understand that the Kabbalah, they're finding the physicists, the top physicist in the world. These are scientists. They're saying that a lot of what they're talking about, the string theory and all this other stuff, is mentioned, even the Big Bang is mentioned in the Kabbalah. All right? So understand the atomic theory. All this stuff is linked. Understand that. I was watching a movie with Transformers, the newest one, with Mark Wahlberg. And he mentioned something about science and their connection to magic.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman was very educated. Do you know that's actually a quote? It's fascinating, but you can't really differentiate between science and magic because alchemy, they're connected.
Technology, extremely advanced
Absolutely.
technology cannot be indistinguished from magic.
Absolutely. That is so important to understand. So a lot of the technology we have is involved in magic, because what we're doing is he mentioned about the Kabbalah and the Force. Remember in Star Wars it's talking Luke, use the Force. Well, this is a force that you tap in. And in the Orient or in the martial arts, it's the chi. It's tapping into this force. Well, folks, that's exactly what D-Wave does. D-Wave computer, and I could be wrong on this, but D-Wave computer is what runs CERN, which taps into, they don't even understand how it operates, but it's tapping into a realm that we don't understand, and it's producing this intelligence that we don't know where it's coming from.
Sentient, automatic, artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence, which is coming from a realm that we don't know where it's coming from. You have the D-Wave computer, which is found in CERN, it's found in Google, and where else is it found, Stephen?
It's also found at
NASA?
NASA. Whatever that manufacturer is that makes planes.
Oh, okay.
Like Boeing and
Yes.
Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin.
Yes.
Okay, it's also found there.
Yes.
All right. So when we're talking about this whole thing on the Kabbalah, the Kabbalah is all of these things. When it mentions about the Kabbalah, it's talking about mysticism, theosophy, thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy is magic. And that's why they have the god Siva outside of CERN. This is all linked together. Now, the Kabbalah is the Hebrew wisdom of the Hebrew rabbis of the Middle Ages, derived from the older secret doctrines concerning divine things and cosmogony, or creation of the universe. This is all about understanding how the universe came into being. And that's why the physicists, they have the Big Bang theory. This is their religion that they're perpetuating upon us, and we think it's true because in the name of science. Now, 1 Timothy 6, verse 20, God says the warning about those who claim to be talking about science. Science is a religion today. Now, all were combined into a theology after the time of the captivity of the Jews in Babylon. All works that fall into the esoteric or confidential category are termed Kabbalistic. So we're looking at, if you're talking about the synagogue of Satan, you're talking about Judeo-Christianity. Understand, Judeo-Christianity is talking about the oral Torah. It's talking about the Zohar. It's talking about Kabbalism. It's talking about the Babylonian Talmud. And if you are a searcher, ladies and gentlemen, it will not take very much to understand that if you're saying Judeo-Christianity, you're saying synagogue of Satan, Christianity. And God says that if you're here and you're listening to radio, they go, well, Christian radio, they're going to say, well, we need to stand with Israel. We need to stand with Israel. We need to stand with the hexagram. They put the hexagram on their own flag, ladies and gentlemen. That should be a clue. Yet you won't find that in Christian bookstores today. Mm-hmm. Now, the Bible does not say to stand with the synagogue of Satan. The Bible does not say, it says, those that claim to be Jews, those who claim to be from Judah, but are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Now, wait for it. Here it comes. Wait for it. You're anti-Semitic.
Yep.
You're anti-Semitic. What? Now, well, define what anti-Semitic means. Well, you're anti-Jew. Well, which one is it, folks? Am I anti-Semitic or am I anti-Jew? Now, obviously, the true definition of Jew is referring to a descendant from Judah, and we know that Jesus Christ came from the tribe of Judah. So we're proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, so we're clearly not anti-Jew, true anti-Jew. Now, would it surprise you that Satan counterfeits Jew? Yeah. The tribe of Judah? Yeah, absolutely. I would. If I was Lucifer, I'd be doing that. You'd be stupid not to. So the mere aspect of counterfeiting the name of Judah is so obvious, ladies and gentlemen. Now, anti-Semitic, most people don't even have a clue to, well, what's anti-Semitic? I don't know, but you are. I don't know, but you're anti-Semitic. It's like the name calling. It's designed to demonize or discredit. You're hate. I'm hate. You're anti-Semitic. Well, I'm anti-Semitic. What does anti-Semitic mean? It means anti-Semite. Yes. What does Semite mean? I don't know, but you are. Okay, well, Semite means a descendant of Shem. That's Noah's son, Shem. Noah's son, Shem, was a Christian, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to prove that because I can find it in Scripture, because there's so much information we can go from here. But understand that when Jesus was, Shem was a Christian, ladies and gentlemen. That's where the seed line of Jesus Christ comes from. That's where it comes from. It comes from Shem. Shem was a Christian. All the Old Testament, the religion of the Hebrews is not Judaism. Because remember when Jesus Christ was having, and I'm trying to find it right now. I'm going by memory right now. But Jesus Christ comes to the well, and this woman comes along, and she's a Samaritan woman, and he goes, give me some water. And she's like, well, why are you, being a Jew, asking me to give you water? And he goes, well, if you understood that I give you the living water, that you'll never thirst. And she's like, well, I perceive that you're a prophet. And so they said unto him, oh, here it is, King of the Jews. And so she's saying basically that, well, and then he proceeds to tell her that, well, you're not married. And she's like, no, I'm not married. He's like, yeah, you've been married like 5 times, but you're not married right now. But she goes, well, my ancestry is from Jacob, and we know that the Messiah is coming. I wish I could find it right now, ladies and gentlemen. The Messiah is coming, right? And she knows that the Messiah is coming. Well, the Messiah is Jesus Christ. And she's like, and then when she found out that he was the Messiah, she went and told everyone. They're like, well, wait a minute, we got to come investigate this. And they came in and they realized, like, well, we're not just believing what you say. We have investigated for ourselves, and we found that this man is the Messiah. The Messiah is all about the Old Testament. So that's the religion of the Hebrews. The religion of the Hebrews, she was from the tribe of Jacob. So she was maybe not from the tribe of Judah, but maybe she was from the tribe of Simeon, Benjamin, Joseph, Naphtali, Asher, Dan, Issachar, Zebulun, Reuben, Gad, Levi. But she knew about the coming of Jesus the Christ. Now these Jews that rejected Jesus Christ, they'd be like, oh, we be Abraham's seed. And he goes, don't give me that Abraham seed, because in order for you to be Abraham's seed, you have to be in Christ, because Christ equals Abraham's seed. Folks, this is biblical hermeneutics. Now, if you want to support the synagogue of Satan, you're supporting Judaism. Is from the synagogue of Satan. It is a hexagram. It is those who claim to be Jews but are the synagogue of Satan. Synagogue, ladies and gentlemen. Who has synagogues today? Interesting. Of Satan. That is Satanism. And that's what we know is what we're talking about is we're exposing Satanism. All right. So moving forward here, we're talking about the Kabbalah, right? We're talking about Kabbalist forms. Now the Kabbalah, we mentioned the Kabbalah is talking about theosophy, where it's talking about mysticism and thaumaturgy, which is a belief in creation by emanation. This is from the Kabbalah. What is emanation? Glad you asked. Emanation means to come out from a source. To come out from a source, the origin of the world by a series of hierarchically descending radiations from the Godhead through intermediate stages to matter. Now, it's mentioned of a hierarchy. A hierarchy is a division of angels, also related to the clergy that get their information. The clergy get their information from a division of angels. They get their information from the force, from energy that they're tapping in. And that's what science is going on today. They're tapping into a source. Okay. Now we have Kabbalism. That is all about, now we're going to get into the quantum theory, right? They're talking about the quantum theory. The Kabbalah is a practicing the theory of a version of nuclear physics that was very strong in Europe. That's what's interesting, is you got the particle theory. It comes from these physicists, and it's centered in Eastern Europe. That's what's fascinating. Eastern Europe in the quantum theory, and that's where you have Niels Bohr. Niels Bohr, a physicist, right? Niels, last name Bohr. He was a Danish physicist, atomic structure, and quantum theory. You have Albert Einstein. You have the Oppenheimer brothers, and you have Edward Teller. He was a Hungarian theoretical physicist. He was also the inventor of the hydrogen bomb. They're very fascinated about the atomic theory. The atomic theory. These are all come from Central Eastern Europe, which is a geographical area where the Kabbalah was the strongest in Europe. Stephen, you want to have anything to add there?
I'm going right with you, bro.
Okay, all right. So you see the real Dr. Strangelove, right? We've seen Strangelove, where you have just a new movie, right? Isn't it called Strangelove, Dr. Strangelove?
Yeah.
And he is a physician, a very talented physician, has a photographic memory, and he only deals with the physical realm, because that's what physicists deal with, only the physical laws. They totally discount anything supernatural. And that's why you have physicians today, licensed physicians, comes from the word physic, which is the same word that physics comes from, only dealing with the physical laws. They totally reject the supernatural. So he goes to the Orient, and he goes to a mystic, and this woman, and she's doing this occult pattern. She's doing this, this magic, this symbol of magic. And that is thaumaturgy. She's a Kabbalist, ladies and gentlemen. And then he realizes, well, wait a minute, there's a spiritual side to it as well. And this is a great deception, because a lot of what people are tapping into is the demonic realm. Right. Technology is tapping into the demonic realm. And you're not going to understand. So people, and when you're dealing with Kabbalism, they do experiments. They do these experiments, and then they go, well, but there is great deception, ladies and gentlemen. You're not understanding the bigger picture here. So we see the Kabbalah is now being written in the quantum theory. And that's where you get into quarks. And the quarks make up the hadrons. And that's where you get the Hadron Collider. What they're doing is they're trying to smash these quarks together with the Hadron Collider, with the atomic theory of the protons and the neutrons. This is the components of the atomic nuclei. And they're trying to undo the fabric of creation. And that is very dangerous. And where are they getting all this information? They get the information by communicating with the spiritual realm. That's called divining, ladies and gentlemen. That's what the Bible clearly forbids against. And that's why God doesn't want us to know all of what's going on. Right. We shouldn't be looking down to the atomic level, ladies and gentlemen. If God wanted us to know about all that stuff, He would have put dark micron telescopes growing in trees. And that's the deal, is people want to look more and more into the telescope, where we should be looking more and more outside.
Amen. Look up instead of look down.
And they go, well, we got to look into the bacteria in the body, and it's like, okay, now let's. And bear in mind, I'm not a physicist, but there's 100 trillion cells that make up the human body, and then there's like 100 to 1 bacteria to 1 cell, and you're going to try to understand all that?
Yeah.
You're not. And then that's why they go, well, that's why we have to give vaccinations, and we get to inoculate you, which bypasses your body's defense mechanism, and we're going to interject mercury and formaldehyde and borium and aluminum and all this. We're going to inject that stuff into your body for somehow that's good for you.
Mercury.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So this is what science is linked to, the demonic realm. And so there's going to be deception. Well, that's where you would get the split theory, right? Isn't that what's called the split theory, where they realize that when there's an observation on a photon being shot through, it reacts differently. Right. And they're like, oh, well, see, there's a spiritual aspect to it. Right. And so where I got Hollywood, and you have these physicists, and they're going, well, it's mentioned in the Kabbalah. Okay, but they don't want you to read the book of Enoch, because if you read the book of Enoch, which fills in the gaps of the Bible,
Amen.
You're not. Most physicists don't understand the big picture. It's bigger than you ever imagined, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of times we go, it's the Jews. No, it isn't. No. There are some wonderful people that call themselves Jews. Yeah. Just as there's wonderful people that are Mormons, Jehovah's Witness, Roman Catholic, Scientology, black, whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, they are just deceived in this deception, this net of religion. Science is a religion which deceives the intellect. So they're tapping into the demonic realm. That's a D-Wave computer, ladies and gentlemen. Science, alchemy, Kabbalism, mysticism, magic, sorcery, it is connected. Very important to understand. Come to Jesus Christ, because we need to tap into the true source. God bless you. Thank you. Bye.